It's a good practice to make a board game version of your game before you put it into the process of making a video game. You can figure out what works and what doesn't from a gameplay standpoint to see if it would be any good. Not to say every game starts off like that, but there has been many games based off of Dungeons and Dragons or the rules set, which starting off, that game was a pen and paper RPG. Not to mention, more recently, quite a few board games like Ticket to Ride, Small World, Pandemic, and Settlers of Catan have gotten video game incarnations of their board game counterparts. Plus, with Tabletop Simulator, quite a few board games are getting exposure because people who might not go out of their way to try them have an easier way to do so. Thus leads to our review of Guild of Dungeoneering. Guild of Dungeoneering takes a concept from a pretty cool game that I would like to classify as an RPG in a box and makes it a single-player experience. The history of the development team is pretty fresh. It was developed by Gambrinus, published by Versus Evil, and released in July of 2015. As far as I know, this is Gambrinus' first game, and if this is any indication of the talent they have, then they have a lot of potential. For Versus Evil, they've published some very well-received games on Steam. Some of them include the Banner Saga, Guyshine's Bedlam, and Army Krog. Most of their games are RPGs, so I might go check out a few others like the Banner Saga. The game really doesn't have a story. The story really amounts to this. You run a town looking for people to recruit with different skill sets, go inside different dungeons to clear out monsters. It's simple enough for you to get in and have fun. The graphics are simplistic. It looks a lot like a card game called Gloom combined with elements from a show called Sticking Around. 90% of the art is in black and white, has more of a gothic look, and characters have more of a stick figure design to them. Not to say it's bad. It's all well done for what they want to accomplish, but to put it bluntly, the art looks like anyone could have done this and got similar results in their spare time. The audio is also fairly effective for what they're trying to accomplish. It's very dreary and gives you a good sense of what kind of situation the game is set in, which is a very much an all hope is lost and almost meaningless to try kind of situation. With that said, not everybody's going to like its tone, but for what it's trying to accomplish, the game is effective at doing so. The gameplay is simple, addictive, and somewhat flawed. The gameplay is like a single-player version of Betrayal at the House on the Hill. In each dungeon, you have a hand with different kinds of cards to play. Some will create paths to get you to your objective, some will give you money if you go to that square, and some will spawn monsters. It's a very cool element in how you play out your strategy to get to your objective, and add some replay value to each dungeon. The fights themselves also use a card-based system. Both you and your enemy have a deck of cards with different elements to them. Some classes or monsters will have more physical or magic-based attack and defense cards, so play accordingly. There's also different kinds of modifiers some cards will have. Some will allow you to get your attack off first, others will be unblockable, others will allow you to draw cards, and so forth. Trust me, if you've ever played Magic the Gathering or any other trading card game, then they're self-explanatory. At the end of it all, whoever kills the other person first wins. If you die, then a small portion of the gold you earned will go to your guild and can be used to get better armor, recruit better characters, and so forth. If you do win, you get a choice of 1 of 3 treasures. These can add cards to your deck, or you can take gold and add another treasure card to your hand. The last detail I want to mention is this. If you survive for long enough to complete your quest, then it's worth a boatload more than if you died. There's one issue I have that I think over time I could see a lot of people playing this for a few hours and going, screw it, I'm playing something else. This game has big difficulty spikes. This is mainly when you're going from different ranks and unlockable things for your guild. The game early on gives you enough money. If you die, you'll keep trying to get the next unlockable you need that may make the quest a lot easier. The problem is that there's only 3 tiers. It gets expensive later on, and dying becomes almost not an option. In Tier 1, everything's around 50 to 100 gold, then Tier 2 is around 500, and in Tier 3, everything is around 2,000 gold to unlock. This little factor is not a problem. I've dealt with this a lot playing games like Dragon Warrior and most other NX RPGs from the SNES and NES era. My issue is that the minimum gold you get for dying never increases. The same 5 gold you got for dying early on is peanuts later in the game. So I think most players will either do 1 of 3 or 4 things. 1, keep grinding away to beat the game. 2, start a new game and plot a course around all the stupid nonsense it deals later on. The 3rd, give up and move on to other games. Or last, bust out Betrayal at the House on the Hill and get a few friends to play. Another problem is that there's not a lot of replay value to it. The thing that made Betrayal at the House on the Hill so great was that when the haunt happened, you got 1 of 50 different scenarios to play through with one of your friends as the enemy. When you take that cooperative aspect away, it really plays out the same way after the first playthrough. Not to say it's a bad game concept or executed poorly. It's a fun game that guys like me who love deck building games and board games that feel like an RPG in a box. It's just that when you try to take elements from a card or board game that you might play once a month, you've got to consider that it might not translate well to video game form. Guild of Dungeoneering is a novel attempt at being its own beast, but their ambitions were too big for them to be any more than play through once and then you're done and probably will never play it again. Overall, while I did like Guild of Dungeoneering, $17 Canadian is a lot for a game you're not going to play a lot after the first time you finish it. I'll be honest with you, the more I thought about it and compared it to Betrayal at the House on the Hill, the worse the game got. I just can't get past how much better of a game it is. Guild of Dungeoneering does a decent job of being a single-player version of Betrayal at the House on the Hill, while making its own identity. The problem is that, in my opinion, Betrayal is a game you pull out every once in a while because it's an awesome cooperative game, and that doesn't translate well to a single-player format. If it had a cooperative mode or something to add more depth, then I would give it 7.5 to an 8.5 out of 10. The problem is that, as it stands now, it's a fun and well-made idea that I don't think would ever succeed as a single-player game. Therefore, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10.